Jesus, ballistic. You get the bang, this heavy pressure on your chest. I feel like I've been shot. Show the size of this thing. So motorcycle airbags exist, and have since the 90s.
OGs use a tether attached near the seat. There's a spring in here, held taut by this little ball.
When I fly off the bike, the spring fires a plunger, which penetrates a CO2 cartridge.
That inflates the vest, which immobilizes my helmet by puffing up around the shoulders. And elsewhere, for obvious reasons.
Now I know what you're thinking. Will I go from 0 to Dana White in one forgetful step? No. It takes a 60-pound oopsie to trigger this, and only fat gymnasts dismount with that much force. Wow! Not for MotoGP. Turns out there are rules against tethering racers to their bikes. It's not dangerous as such, but with Marquez leaning so far, it'd have to be a long-ass string. Then if I crash and remount, you have this tether flapping free. You can't have that.
So in 2007, we see the first deployment of an electronic airbag.
I'm impressed with that a lot.
Wow. These have a GPS sensor to note the rider's velocity. Combine that with data from an accelerometer to note sudden changes in velocity, and combine that with gyroscopic data on changes in orientation. After that, you just need a little onboard computer to look at those three metrics and ask, are we crashing? No? Cool. It's not actually a very complicated conversation. The little brain in this vest can have it 1,000 times per second.
Teething pains were mostly comical. Quartararo once set his airbag off by fist pumping. Zach Kortz put his body on the line for Alpinestars, only to have the bag embarrassingly inflate after impact.
But those are exceptions to the rule. Every unit keeps its data 30 seconds before and after a crash, so every crash is memorized by the units that follow. At this point, 14 years and thousands of crashes down the road, electronic airbags are as reliable as the tether. Yes, wonderful, but is it useful? Because these cost $900. They're bulky, they're not breathable, an airbag's gotta be mostly airtight, am I right? And they're not invincibility cloaks. Get schmucked at 200 and even the Michelin Man is gonna croak. Fair points, but the gear you already own is the counterpoint. Here's my European Union CE Level 1 back pad. If I hit it with the force of Ursula's anvil, it transmits less than 18 kilonewtons.
Mostly thanks to dispersion. The pad spreads force across its area.
But airbags don't just distribute force, they have the crush depth to absorb it. 0.36 kilonewtons, absorption is 50 times more effective than dispersion.
That old fallacy of engines proves true with armor. There's no replacement for displacement. Which is why I let Anish hit me with a golf club. Something I'd never do with a lesser backpad, nor a lesser friend.
So airbags may be bulky, stuffy, and expensive, but less so than 50 of these.
Then consider the neck brace, which has been shown to decrease cervical spine injuries by 89%, as a boyish Ryan F9 will explain.
Limited movement, limited movement, limited movement, limited movement, limited movement.
Wow, much vocabulary. Neck brace, good. Airbag, better.
It immobilizes your helmet to a similar spine-saving extent, but only when crashing.
The rest of the time, this is less obtrusive than a neck brace. And when you consider that airbags replace your brace, your back pad, your chest pad, it's hard to see them as a hurdle.
Yet, we do. This is Jorge Lorenzo, a guy with every reason to wear an airbag, including sponsorship obligations to wear an airbag, crashing without one.
It's been a while since you had a high size like that. Does airbag make a difference?
Yeah, it was okay. It was working well. Thank you.
Huge balls. That's why riders reject airbags. See, a lot of us want motorcycling to be dangerous. We want to risk something real. Because when we come home, we know we had the skills, the focus, and the balls to make it home. And whether it's healthy to test yourself like that or not, it's part of the joy.
MotoGP robbed Jorge's joy in 2018 when airbags became mandatory in the sport.
And governments will eventually rob ours by making these mandatory on the street. Early life-saving statistics are similar to what they were for car airbags, and we all know how that went. But history has a warning for us there.
1984. Airbags are expensive, so the big three automakers take a cheap shortcut to safety, and they lobby for state seatbelt laws to knock federal airbag regulations off the table.
Eventually, the feds say, no, it's unethical to kill your customers, build the damn airbags. And that is the manufacturer oversight we will be missing, because the major manufacturers aren't involved.
Only Honda has stuck the pillow on an actual motorcycle, but that'll catch on like a one-legged horse. There are still 3 other ways to fall off.
So, if an airbag is right for you, it will be your responsibility to choose one that is made right. Tough, since 3 out of 4 offerings cut dangerous corners. The Climb AI1. In an effort to hide its cost, they offer it with an optional subscription package. $12 a month, and if you forget to pay, you'll slam into a truck with the airbag doing dick all. I don't understand people who lease their cell phones. I certainly don't understand that. Then we have the Dainese Smart Jacket.
In an effort to make this slimmer, they took away most of its inflation volume. Notice how it barely expands around the shoulders, which is what you want if you don't want your helmet to snap your collarbone. Or your neck.
Even at the back, inflation is so shallow that it's rated at 4.5 kilonewtons. What is the point? You can get numbers like that with a regular armor pad. Next is the Alpinestars Tech Air 5, easily the finest electronic option, but therein lies the rub.
See, electronic airbags use batteries.
What inevitably happens is a sunny day in February and of course the airbag is dead. And you can't charge it while riding, so do you take the risk you decided not to take, or miss the ride you spent $1,000 not to miss? Hence we arrive at the Helite Turtle. Our cheap tethered airbag is still by far the best.
Not least because it blows the biggest bubble, and if I'm buying an airbag, that's kind of the point. Also, reloading it after a crash only takes a $20 CO2 canister and 60 seconds of spare time.
See, fancy airbags use an argon mix, which is highly compressible and lets them get away with smaller canisters, but more pertinently, is proprietary. Meaning these airbags need to be sent back to the manufacturer to be reloaded, costing you a few $100s and putting you at their mercy. Oh, Mr. McMurray, yeah, we found a little scratch here. You couldn't possibly ethically reload this. Looks like you'll have to buy a whole new one. Easy reusability, simple practicality. Smart airbags can boast about their 40 millisecond crash detection times, but smart riders know that at 50 kph you're covering this half-meter tether in 36 milliseconds anyway, and that has no battery to die on you. So, yes, motorcycle airbags exist. No, riders generally don't use them because they like the risk, but maybe you want to buy one while you still have the choice to buy one. If so, get the Helite Turtle and leave electronic airbags for the racers. Thanks.